Good morning, and welcome to the Financial Optimist. And today I want to share with you my expenses for the month of September in 2025 in hopes that I can inspire you to live on less than $1,000 per month. Now, for comparison purposes, I live in the United States, which is currently ranked as the 13th most expensive country on the planet, and I also live in the state of Florida. And my goal of living on less than $1,000 per month, that's an average goal over the entire year, so some months may be a little bit under 1,000, other months may be a little bit over 1,000. This month was less than $800 for the entire month. So you may ask yourself, how is it possible to live on such little money in a country as expensive as the US? Well, how about I show you? Let's go ahead and start with the food, because I love some food. Now, when it comes to my grocery bill for the entire month, I spent $163.82 on food at the grocery store. That is, a little up from last month, but overall not too bad. Now, when it comes to restaurants, I spent a total of $62.30 on restaurants. I went to a mid-range restaurant 5 times this month and averaged $12.46 per meal. My cheapest meal was $8.09, and my most expensive meal was $19.54. And now these are mid-range restaurants, like you're talking like $10, $20 a plate. That's typically the types of restaurants I eat out at. And that's how much I spent for this entire month for that category. And when it comes to fast food, I spent a total of $54.66 on fast food, which means I averaged $5.47 per meal because I purchased fast food 10 times this month. And my cheapest fast food meal was $3.21. My most expensive fast food meal was $7.05. Now you may notice something here. My fast food meals are all well south of $10, and my restaurant meals are north of $10. That's because I'm of the opinion fast food should never cost more than $10 for a meal. If I'm going to spend more than $10 on fast food, I'd rather go to a restaurant and get myself better quality food for the same money. That's why I very, very rarely spend more than $10 at a fast food restaurant. Like, why spend $12 at McDonald's if I could spend $12 at Denny's? That's just how my math works. So for me, I only get fast food if it's cheap. But for a normal mid-range restaurant, I may spend $10 to $20 a plate to get myself something a little bit nicer, a little bit better. So that's how I like to do my shopping for restaurant food. So in total, my food budget was $280.78. This is grocery stores, restaurants, and fast food all combined into one. So overall, less than $300 this month on food, which is fantastic. Now, in full disclosure, at my job where I work, there is a fully stocked break room, all kinds of snacks there, so I don't usually pack a lunch to work. I usually just, grab a bunch of snacks, eat that for my first meal, then I come home later on and have another meal later on in the day. And so that does help to reduce my food budget, which is definitely, a huge help. Also, things like I usually like to, go to some of the more, discount grocery stores, Walmart, Aldi, the dollar store, that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of deals that can be found. If you want to get the store brand product instead of the name brand product, you can save money on that types of things. So, I should definitely do a bargain hunting tutorial on how to save money on groceries because less than $300 per month for groceries is absolutely fantastic. I believe the national average for groceries is about double this for an individual, so I'm definitely on the right track for saving money on food. It is a bit higher than I would like. I like to see this under 200 if possible, but overall, not too bad. So for fuel, I went to the gas station a total of 3 times this month, averaging less than $19 per fill-up, so I spent $55.78 on fuel for the entire month. So that is actually down quite substantially from last month, which is great because from last month's video for the month of August, you may notice I went to the gas station 4 times. This month, I only went 3 times. So one less fuel up and the price of gas has come down. And so I definitely saved quite a lot of money on fuel. This year may be one of my cheapest months of fuel for the entire year. Next month, I suspect maybe a little bit higher, but hey, who knows? Maybe gas prices continue going down. But for now, very, very affordable. Overall, didn't spend much on fuel. Entertainment, this month I hung up with my friends a few times. Whenever I hang out, usually I spend a little bit of money here and there. So $35.65 on entertainment. Overall, not very expensive. Have some fun, have some good experiences with friends, and then I don't spend a lot of money on that. So that works out well. Medical. So this includes things like doctor's appointments, prescriptions, medical supplies, anything medical related I put into one category. So I spent $146.48 this month. So overall, fairly affordable, not too bad at all. Then my utilities. You may notice this seems kind of weird. $95.46 is my total utility expenses, with $65.46 going to my water sewer bill and $30 for my internet. Now you may notice something is missing. Where's my electric bill? Did I turn off the electricity this month? Well, no, I used electricity this month, just the same as last month, and my bill is about the same. However, for this month, I did make a change in my billing. I used to manually pay the bill at the end of the month, but I decided to switch over to autopay this month, and it looks like the autopay billing cycle will pay it, in the next month. They'll pay it in the first week of the month. So Instead of paying in the last week of this month, I'll be paying it the first week of next month, which means that technically I had no electric bill for this month, even though I use electricity every single day. And so when it comes to, the accounting for this, all this means is that when you get to the end of the year, the electricity I use in December, I won't be paying until January, so it does put that bill off to next year. So I'm still using the same electricity. I'm still going to pay the same amount in total. It just pushes it off to the next month. So this is something to keep in mind, that if other people are sharing their budgets online, there's all kinds of accounting tricks you can do, smoke and mirrors, to artificially reduce your budget. And so I sort of unintentionally did that here with my electric bill this month. So that's why my utilities were less than $100 this month, when my electric bill was over $100 by itself. It was around $160 some odd dollars by itself. So I would have had, over $250 for total utilities for this month if my electric had been charged, but it hadn't. And so with that said, I'm going to mark it for just $95 total this month, but, in full disclosure, my electric bill will now be changing to the first week of the next month. So, but you'll notice the water sewer bill is almost the exact same as last month, same with the internet. These are more or less fixed bills. They're about the same every single month. But my only bill that fluctuates is my electric bill, but even then not by that much, because utilities are a very stable expense for me. They don't usually go up or down by all that much. All right, other. This here is like miscellaneous expenses, just, little odds and ends here and there throughout the month that don't really have their own category, so I lump them all together to one. So $175.58. So just a few household purchases here and there, a few random things, knickknacks, whatnot. So when it comes to my total expenses, the food was $280.78. The fuel was $55.78. Entertainment was $35.65. Medical was $146.48. Utilities was $95.46, and other was $175.58, which leads to a grand total of $789.73. Absolutely fantastic. And, my goal here is to live on less than $1,000 per month. And so this is now my third monthly budget. I did the budget for July, August, and now September. And every single one of those 3 months was under $1,000 by quite a good margin. I didn't even spend $800 this month, which is fantastic. And when I say live on $1,000 a month, that is an average over the entire year. So maybe some months are over 1,000, some months are under 1,000. That way, on average, it should average to about $1,000 per month. Now, looking ahead at my expenses for October, I suspect October may be my first month where my expenses are over $1,000, because I know my car insurance bill is due in October, and I like to prepay it every 6 months because I get a discount if I pay 6 months in advance. And so my October bills will likely be a little over $1,000, but that's fine. If this is $800 this month, and let's say next month is $1,200, it still averages out to $1,000 a month, which is exactly my goal. And when it comes to my expenses here, some of you may have some questions like, hang on a minute, you're definitely missing a few categories. Like, where's your housing expense? How do you pay for the wall behind you? Well, this house here, I've already got it fully paid off. If you want to know how I did that, I've got videos about how to shop for bargains, how to find houses for affordable prices, so I can definitely show you how to do that. But because my house is fully paid off, I have no rent, I have no mortgage, and most importantly, I have no HOA fee. So that's one thing I teach here at the Financial Optimist, is the debt-free lifestyle. So no mortgages, nothing like that. Just pay cash for a house and do that. That's what I've done in my life, and that's what I encourage the rest of you to do as well, assuming it fits with your lifestyle. I understand some people like to rent for various reasons. There's that can be a fine thing to do, but for me, I like to be a buyer. And so when it comes to other expenses here, you may ask, what about like credit cards, student loans? Well, I don't have any debts. I live the debt-free lifestyle. I've never borrowed a single penny in my entire life, and I never will. And so credit cards don't do that. Student loans don't do those. Car loans don't do those. I just pay cash for everything. Pay cash for my college degrees, pay cash for my car, pay cash for my house. I pay cash for everything. And so some of you are asking, well, hang on, what about things like your insurance? Well, I like to prepay my insurance at the beginning of the year. That way I can get a large discount. Like I mentioned, October I'll be paying my car insurance bill, and because I prepay a 6-month policy in advance, that means I can save money because I'm not paying by the month. I pay it all at once. I pay it up front, and I save some money that way. And so those types of expenses, I do like to find ways of saving money. So on months like this, where those large bills didn't come due, I have a very good month under $1,000. And then on those months where those larger bills do come due, those months may be over $1,000. But overall, still very, very affordable. Less than $800 a month is an absolutely fantastic way to live. And I had a great life. Like I hung out with my friends. I took care of my health. I definitely had utilities. I had money for food and fuel, everything. So I'm living a very good life, a very content life. I don't claim to live some kind of a luxurious life by any means. It's a very modest life, but it's a life that I enjoy. And life doesn't have to cost that much money. It is possible to live on a very small budget if you want to. It all depends on what type of a goal you want to set for yourself. Now, with that said, there is one more thing to mention. For those of you who are still watching the video, thank you. I do also have a bonus expense, and that is on one of my hobbies. I spent about $500, $496.98. So I decided to put this as a bonus because this here are my necessary life expenses. These are things I basically have to pay to stay alive. Yeah, you might say the entertainment isn't necessary. You could cut that out, but, let's be realistic. Having friends is important. Having, connection to other human beings, having some type of a social life is very important for your psychological health. So I say yes, spending a small amount every month hanging out with friends and, enjoying, spending time with the people, I would say that is a necessary life expense because if you live in complete isolation, that is unhealthy and that may cause your medical bills to go up if you have all kinds of health issues. And socializing with people can be great for your psychological health. So I would count that as a necessary expense. Now, when it comes to hobbies, like I'm going to put this as a separate line item because at the end of the year when I do my annual breakdown, I'm going to include all these types of budgets under the line item of necessary expenses. So I'll have all the months averaged out with my average monthly expenses for the things I need. And then this will be things I don't need to buy, things that are hobbies. That way, I can have two categories of necessary expenses and unnecessary expenses. The idea being if I do have any kind of an emergency in the future, I can always cut out hobbies for a few months to save up some extra money. And that way I now know what my baseline is just for survival. That's how much I have to spend basically to stay alive. So that's kind of the difference there. Also, one big difference in hobbies is, for me, a hobby usually involves buying something like a physical object you could sell later. Like let's say you're into RVs or, recreational vehicles. You're into ATVs, you're into dirt bikes, you're into fishing boats, you're into jet skis. A lot of people like to buy various types of vehicles or other objects for their hobbies, and you could always sell these later if you needed to. So yes, this is an expense, but I could sell it. Like the object I bought normally goes for about $800 brand new. I bought a used one for less than $500, and so if I wanted to sell it and get my money back, I probably could. I could maybe even make a few dollars profit. So yes, it's money I'm spending, but it's something that could be sold later. So that's kind of a bit of a difference there. Whereas entertainment, I'm more so focusing on buying experiences. Like hanging out with friends does involve spending some money. Maybe buying, various types of venues. Like for example, I went to the bowling alley with my friends this month. I spent some money at the bowling alley. It wasn't a whole lot of money, but I spent a few bucks there to hang out with friends. So for me, entertainment is more so about, short-term experiences, and hobbies is about buying physical objects that I like to enjoy having over the long term, and they can potentially be sold later. So for me, that's how I define the difference between entertainment and a hobby. But if you have a difference of opinion, go ahead and drop that below in the comment section. I would love to hear your opinion about what's a hobby and what's entertainment. If you have any other questions, let me know. I'd love to answer them. If you think that there's some other items I completely cut out, go ahead and let me know, and maybe I'll make another follow-up video answering questions. And so with that said, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.